Hello, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Device, where we explore the life defining moments that shape careers within the medical device industry. We are particularly interested in understanding how personal experiences, challenges, or pivotal events influence professional journeys. As we progress through the conversation, we will land on the question: what is the one defining moment or experience in your life that changed everything and set you on the path you're on today? Today on Beyond the Device, we're joined by Ana Burman, a digital health and software as a medical device leader whose story begins in Brazil, where her curiosity for technology and problem solving first took shape. Her journey has taken her across countries, careers, and disciplines, from software and cybersecurity to health informatics research to becoming a respected voice in digital health and medical device regulation. Nathan and I have had the pleasure of working with Anna during her time at Deloitte, and we've always admired her not just for her expertise, but her resilience and outlook on life. Over the past year, she has navigated profound change and begun an inspiring chapter with a fast growing health tech startup. Today, we'll explore the person behind the career, identity, purpose, and reinvention, and where we find the courage to keep moving forward when life reshapes the path. Welcome, Anna.
Thank you so much,
Welcome.
guys. Love being here with you. Yeah, I'm excited about that. So, yes,
Mm.
let's do it.
Let's do it. So, if you wouldn't mind taking us back to your start, your early years, what shaped you growing up?
Yeah, I grew up in the countryside in Brazil, uh, amongst cow sheds, and my parents moved to the countryside because they w- I was born in Rio, but they wanted a easier life, not easier life, but a calmer life, and I loved it. It really shaped me a lot, being outdoors and, being always after adventure, hunting for bunnies with my mates. And yeah, it was really cool. Got to a stage when I am one of three sisters. We are very close together. And if you're from a Brazilian middle class family, you have three professions that you can choose. You can be a lawyer, you can be a doctor, and you can be an engineer. Sure enough, we have a lawyer, a doctor, and I am a kind of engineer. So I think success for my
Yeah.
parents. And so we had to leave the countryside to study. And we went to a place called Vitória, which is the capital of a state in Brazil called Espírito Santo. So yeah, I did my secondary school there and did my degree there. And I was always very curious about the world. I always wanted to travel. I always wanted to kind of do things in a different way, even like as a very young girl. And I ended up working in software quality assurance. And from there, I just went. I had loads of pivots in life, loads of started doing things in this way, and then suddenly discover something else which was really interesting to me. And I thought, oh, I'm young, I can explore this, and I think it has never left me. I always look for challenges and things which will teach me something because I don't think I know everything. In fact, I think I know nothing. So I think that's pretty much the background from,
Mm.
coming from Brazil, a very rural life, and then all of a sudden coming to a big city and having to learn to be resilient. I remember, I was 15 when I moved, and I never had anyone to get me up, in the morning to make a breakfast, send me to go to school, to make sure there was, because my parents just couldn't do that. All they could do was to move us to a capital and say to us, girls, you've got to do it because if you don't do it, nobody will do it for you. And I think this takes you a lot of resilience, a lot of learning to pick yourself up when you fail because I've had plenty of fails in my life, and you learn much more from when you fail than when you're successful, I think.
So you're thinking about what you do now, the industry that you work in, was the aspirations at a young age to do that? And if not, what
Not
what
at
were your
all.
no, yeah, what were the aspirations?
I want to be an astronaut.
Okay, nice.
There was Elon Musk, if you're looking and you're looking for someone going to Mars, here I am. But joking. But I always wanted to be an astronaut, and I loved chemistry. I really wanted to study chemistry at a engineering level. I couldn't do it because the city we moved to didn't have a degree in chemistry engineer, and
Mm.
we really couldn't afford for me to move to another city and keep two houses going. So we all had to do degrees where we were. So yeah, my degree story is very convoluted because it took me time to learn to find out what I really wanted to do. If I wasn't going to be a chemistry engineer, what do I really want to do? And I ended up in computers because I don't know. I think I had a boyfriend who had a computer, and I thought, oh, this is interesting. And then it was a TK-95. That tells you how old I am. With
Not a
the
clue what that is.
I
no,
don't know
no.
what it
Well,
is either.
if in order to do programs, we need to have like a tape recorder, and you could hear the like doing programs in COBOL and Pascal, and I thought that was incredible, amazing, and because of that, I kind of thought, okay, if I can't be a chemistry engineering, I'm going to work with computers, and but I have always been a very I never liked to do just one thing. I had to do loads of things because I had too much energy. So it was like
Mm.
getting up early, going to the beach to play volleyball 6 o'clock in the morning, go for a run, and then just going to uni. I found they're very boring. So I had to work. I wanted to earn money. So I kind of worked and did my degree together. And I found myself in my first job going to an interview. And I was asked, do you know how to do, it was Lotus 1, 2, 3 spreadsheets. I had no clue, but I said, of course I do. And I left the interview, bought a book in Lotus 1, 2, 3, read the book end to end. And then I was given a job. So I think I've always been like curious and I want
Hmm.
to do things. If you ask me to do something I don't know how to do, that's where I thrive because that's where I think, okay, I'm going to learn these. So I started to work in this company and then discovered computers and then just kind of went from one thing to another and ended up working for Xerox in I think it was mid-90s. And at that time, Xerox was like the powerhouse of software in the world. There was a massive campus in Palo Alto, and they set up this software development center in Vitoria, which was like state of art of the intersection between high volume printers and microcomputers. So I worked in a lot of softwares. I worked in mainframes. I worked in uh, Windows environment. So it was kind of really exciting, and we were all young, and we all wanted to learn. So it was an incredible opportunity for me, and it was when I started working with quality assurance for software, and a lot of the things I learned that time. We had a certification scheme from the Software Engineering Institute called CMM, which was a maturity model for your software development practices, and it was like an incredible standard, if you like, and it taught me a lot of things I know about software quality even to this day. So at that time, I never dreamed about working with medical device software, but it was all kind of building up to come to where I am now.
Mm.
And you, the way you describe yourself, particularly when you were younger, it's like no one's telling you to do anything. You're doing it off your own back, a
Mhm.
self-starter. But were there any role models? Anyone that
Yeah,
influenced your
I had
decisions, who you were?
I had very good peers, and I worked for a guy, Francisco, and Francisco was a HR personal manager, but he was such an incredible supportive person, and I had all these
And like
crazy ideas.
where were you? At what point of your career was that?
That was at the beginning. I was probably in my early 20s. Was before I went to
Mm.
Xerox, and I was doing computer databases in this engineering company. Was a project engineering company, but this guy was a really influential person in my journey because he really believed me, and I think we all need someone who believes us. And who look at us and can see this person has potential, and given the right path, he will get what they want to get. And Francisco was incredible. I had really good peers as well who taught me stuff, were patient. When I was with Xerox, I worked with a very competent team, and I learned a lot with this team, and this was very, very influential. And then I kind of transitioned into computer networks and information security. And I had another who is a friend even to this day. We worked together many years, and again was someone who believed in my capacity, my potential, and invested in me, helped me to learn. I think life is a learning experience, and when
Mm,
you're lucky enough to have people who are willing to teach you, who are willing to kind of help you to better yourself, you are in a super blessed position. And I think that's very much my experience. Yeah, you meet plenty of people who maybe aren't willing to help you, but if you hold on to the ones who are, you have a very positive experience in life, I think.
And before we come to the question about the key turning point, just interested in that time around moving from Brazil. Was it a direct move from Brazil to the UK, or was
It
there any stops
was,
in between?
yeah. No, 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 it was. I I had been working for, maybe 5, 6, 7 years, and even as a 10-year-old, I still remember I always wanted to move abroad. I always wanted to know the world, to see the world. But
mm,
the world's a very different place. Bear in mind there was no internet. There was no. My first computer I was 15 when I had. So there was really a lot of dreams and not really knowing how to do this. And so my first big trip was my friend and I. We went travel around South America, and things. Brazil has. I have seen a lot of economical crisis. I have
mm,
seen hyperinflation. When I was a girl, we had hyperinflation in Brazil, which means you go to the baker's to buy a piece of bread, which is, I don't know, 10 cents in the morning. When you go back in the evening, it's 12 cents. This magnitude is something that is impossible to understand, but
mm,
it exists, and it scares the pants out of me when I see what's happening in the world in terms of economical, because I know what bad looks, and, it could happen again, and it's
mm,
bad. And so after I was working for a few years, I wanted to leave Brazil and have an experience to study abroad. And then I started looking at opportunities. So I managed to get accepted to come and do a master's degree in Sunderland, to go and start system engineering, which wasn't quite what I wanted to do. But I thought, well, it's an opportunity, I will go. Thank
mhm,
God I didn't, because I wouldn't survive the cold in Sunderland. I, fresh from Brazil, straight into Sunderland would have been like, but I stayed in London for a month to prepare for the IELTS.
Yeah.
And one day I was walking down Regent Street, and Westminster University had a campus there. And I thought, I'll just walk in, me being me, I'll just walk in and see, what it looks like. And they had just brought out a master's in information security, which was the area I was really interested in. I thought, oh, I wonder if I can change my course. I was in England, I had a student visa. I would just ask, I've got nothing to lose. And that has always been my attitude in life. I've got nothing to lose. I can always ask. The worst thing that can happen is to say no,
Yeah.
and no harm done. So I walked in and asked to speak to the course director, booked an appointment, came in and explained the situation. He took a look at me and he said, "Okay, if you have, I don't know what I had to get into IELTS, come back and talk to me." And, sure enough, I got the score I needed. I went back and he said, "Okay, we will accept you to study here." And then I didn't go to Sunderland, which kind of
Wow.
put me in a completely different path.
Yeah.
Because, had I gone to Sunderland, I'm sure I wouldn't be talking to you now. I would probably, I don't even know, because this was the path which allowed me to finish this course and get a job just outside London and start building my career, meet my husband, and build a family with him. So life is full of these encounters which really change your life.
And like at the time, it would have just been such a simple thing to have walked past and not gone in and asked.
Yes,
It
yeah,
just shows that those small moments don't feel like big
absolutely.
things, but can completely change the path that you're on.
I always say to, the people I have the opportunity to help, or, my children, I always say, you have nothing to lose for asking about things. If you don't ask, you don't get.
Mm.
This is a very Brazilian mentality, I have to say. I think in Brazil, at least in my time, and I think it's still like there, we come up against so many situations that you just had to find a way. You just have to find a way, because there are so many things which you can't control. We When I was growing in Brazil, we didn't have any network to fall back on. You had to make it. Either swim or sink. And I think those of us who managed to swim, and there's plenty of people who sink, which is really sad. But the ones who managed to swim at that time are the people who really go further in life and learn to deal with disappointment, with when things go wrong, learn to find a way around. And I think this is very important.
And that could be a turning point in itself. But I think preparing for this podcast and what the topics are that we'd like to discuss. Is there that one key turning point when you reflect on your life? It might be recently, might be uh, further in
I
the
think
past.
I think there has been a few turning points. I think there one was a definitely turning point, because then I did a master's degree in information security, and this was like early 2000. I finished in 99, so it was like year 2000 bug. Everyone was scared, so there are loads of
Mm.
opportunities for information security. I got a job working for a massive consultancy in London, which it was a massive turn point for my profession at that stage. I think the second turning point was after, and I built a really good career in information security in the city. I was a senior manager. It was kind of all going well. But then I had my first child, and all of the sudden I look and I thought, I really don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something which is a bit more meaningful to me. And then I started thinking, I have got all this experience in information technology, and I did have gestational diabetes at the end of my pregnancy. And the management was absolutely terrible. It was just like you had to prick your finger 3 times a day, write down the result, and see the midwife once a week, each 2 weeks. And as you know, gestational diabetes is something which can change very quickly, and you have massive commodities associated to gestational diabetes. So I have a sister who is an obstetrician, so I talked a lot about that. And I thought, hang on a minute, technology has a, and I'm talking about my older son is 21, so this is 21 years ago. And I thought, hang on a minute, we can use technology to manage this much better. And then I started looking, what is the intersection between health and technology? And I thought, I think I'm onto something here. And then I started researching, and me being from an academic family, it was drilled into our heads that we had to kind of be academics. Both my parents are lecturers, and I thought maybe I could do a PhD on this. And then I thought, okay, I will write to some universities and see if anyone is interested. Sure enough, I found a lecturer at Brunel who thought that, I had a fantastic idea. Come in, let's talk. And I ended up doing a PhD on health informatics. And Ben was 1 and James was 3. I thought, a PhD with 2 young children, how hard can that be? Shouldn't be that hard. And it's a good thing we're going to things without knowing how hard things are, because it was bloody hard. I can tell you that it was
I
very
bet.
hard, very, very hard. But then there was another pivotal time, because it kind of really put me down the path I am now, because I just fell in love with health and technology. I thought that's what I want to do now. I just want to leverage from all these years, doing software, information security, big infrastructure projects. I worked in the dot-com boom, so did loads of e-commerce projects within information security. So all the base were there for me to kind of launch myself into this health technology. area. So that was a massive pivotal moment in my life, which put me down to where I am. And I think the most recent, really unexpected and massive change was, losing my husband of 25 years, which it was completely unexpected, and it just threw me into a massive void, which, I think I am still, and I think I will grapple with this for the rest of my life. But I
Mm.
think all these things which have happened in the last 35 years of my life kind of helps me to cope and to have strategies to know where to go from here. So I think even when you're going through difficult times, good times, challenging times, all these things are forming you to be the person you are. And how you decide to go through all these things will decide your path, really. And so I think, yeah, here I am, really broken into so many ways, but also grateful because I have been able to build this life and this career through loads of pivots, through loads of meetings, encounters, and all these sort of things.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think we've both followed your journey over the last 12 to 18 months, in losing Nigel and the changes, the bike ride, which I'm sure we'll talk about.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of the turning points that you've talked about is where you've taken initiative and taken control, and as Nathan alluded to earlier, from a young age you were told you had to go out there and make it happen.
Yeah.
So you've almost created turning points and put yourself on that path. Whereas losing your husband, of 25 years, having your two sons and having to be there for them as well, that's something that has happened to you.
Yes.
So a very different turning point. So if you're happy to share, what sort of emotional challenges have you faced during that time? I can
Yeah. I think.
relate
I
from a
think.
moment of,
I think the first thing is how incomprehensible this is, because I think when there is an illness and you're kind of going through the process of illness, you kind of can anticipate what is going to happen,
Mm.
and nothing prepares you to lose a loved one, of course not. It is a tragic and absolutely heartbreaking event in our lives, which you know you can't prepare. But I think when that happens so unexpected as it happens to me, I think the first emotional response is I don't understand what's going on. It just it is like you're trying to fit a round peg in a square hole, or the other way around. I never know which way around this thing goes, but it just can't comprehend. You just really cannot comprehend. You just are left in this void of uncertainty, and because I just didn't have a plan for that. And like I said, I have always been a person who had a plan for things. Even if I have to pivot, that's fine. I can pivot. I will find a way around. Whereas I didn't have a plan for that. I just couldn't grasp that this had happened, and life has changed now. Where do I go from this? I am a very spiritual person. I believe in a maker of the universe. I believe that nothing is by chance. I believe that there is a purpose for all of us, and you have to find this purpose. And I believe that there is a supernatural strength to to the world which sustained me, and it has really sustained me all throughout all this horrible and heart-wrenching experience. But I saw that the only way, one of the ways I needed to take some control was through doing something that was much harder than what I thought it would be, which was okay. I'm just gonna. We had this. I mean, I this whole thing started off when I bought a e-gravel. in May 2024. And
Mhm.
I said, I mean, Nigel and I, we always did everything together. We were very good mates, very good friends. And I said to him, "Do you fancy doing the Lee jog?" He said, "What the heck is that?" I said, "This is cycling from Land's End to John O'Groats." He said, "I'm not doing that. You're crazy, woman. Why would you want to do that?" I said, "Don't be a weep. We can do it." No, not doing it. I said, "Okay, so how about if I do it and you're my support car?" He said, "Well, that I can do." I said, "Yeah, you can get a mate to go." He loved walks, and I said, as I'm cycling, do walks with a mate, and we meet at the end of the day, have dinner together, stay over, and then I'll go on the next day, and you do. Okay, yeah, that would be interesting. So we agreed that we would do that. And that was the only thing I could think of after I lost Nigel that I needed to do. It was just like, I have to do this. I have to do this. And this really helped me to kind of have a focus and think, if I do this, obvious by then I wasn't work. I was in no state to think of work or, anything.
Mm.
And I just had to kind of really concentrating, find a way to focus on something which would make sense to me, and it would help me to deal with this absolutely terrible thing. So then I kind of spent probably 3, 4 months planning the route, planning the stays, and it was really interesting because I used a website called Bike Route or
Mhm.
Bike Plan, Route Plan. I think it's called Route Plan, which is a fantastic website. If you want to do any bike rides, just put the start point, the end point, and then it asks you how many miles do you want to cycle a day. I'm just thinking, I don't know. The,
How hard do you want it to be, basically?
yeah, exactly. I'm just like, I don't know. Is 100 miles too much? I thought probably 100 miles is a bit too much, but maybe I can do 70. Okay, I will do 70. I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? The first day, I'm just thinking, this is not even 20 miles, and I've got another 50 to do. This is great, and this was in Scotland, and that's what I did. I really spent a lot of time planning, and this really gave me like a focus and
Mhm.
something to think about and something to aspire to, or
Yeah, I think it's like channeling
yeah,
energy into
yeah,
something positive.
yeah.
Um, uh,
Because I think when something like that happens, there is only two ways. I think, but at least this is my experience. You can go under and stay in a room under and that was what I want to do. I just want to kind of be in my bed under the bed, the duvets with the pillow on top of my head and not think about anything. But that's not that I was very aware that that was not going to take me anywhere, and I it wasn't going to make Nigel come back, and he wasn't going to help me. He wasn't going to help my children. He wasn't going to help anyone. So
mm,
I needed to find the strength to do something else, and the be something else was concentrate on this bike ride, and that's what I did. And it's not only me, and I have had so much. I mean, my church, my friends, my family. I couldn't have done this without all these people. Work. It it, it really takes a village, and you cannot go through such a heart wrenching event without a lot of love, a lot of support. When from the day I lost Nigel until the day my family from Brazil came, which was like 4 weeks. Every single evening, there was someone coming to my house bringing a meal for us. I
mm,
didn't cook
That's,
one day.
I was
So,
going to say, like, when you go through hardships in life, turning points, and even if you think about the guests we've had on here, when we ask about the support network, 9 times out of 10, it's the partner, it's the wife, the husband. And in a different situation, I'm sure Nigel would have been your person. So to see that people stepped up in that time, and
it
yes, it's
has
good to
been
hear.
incredible. I have got friends who still message me at least once a week,
mm,
talk, and I think it is a very difficult thing to go through, but I'm sure there are people who go through the similar scenario with much less than what I had. And for this, I'm eternally grateful. I really am. I can never repay people for their goodness, for their love, for their support. And this helps me to make the decisions I have made to kind of, I have got to. The only way over this through it.
Mm.
I
Is
have
it?
And
to.
how are your children?
I have got two incredible young men. I have a
Same.
21-year-old who is at uni, and he said to me at the time he was 19. I mean, he's going to be 21 soon. He said to me, "Mom, if you don't want me to go, I won't go to uni. I will stay home." I said, "No, James, you have to do what you have to do, and you have your life to live, and we need to continue." So James is incredible. He's really, yeah, James is an incredible young man. And I have Ben, who is 18, coming to 19, and Ben is so resourceful, such a good young man. And Ben is training to be an electrician, so he will probably make more money than all of us. I think the boys, and that is kind of a testament to the kind of man Nigel was.
Yeah.
He raised two incredible young men. I mean, they are not perfect. They are young men. They do stupid stuff as young men do, but they and I think James said to me, "Mom, do you realize that doing what you did, you're now part of a very select group in the world?" I said, "Do you mean?" He said, "Mom, how many people do you think have done this crazy thing you've just done?" And I think I hadn't quite of realized how important that was for them as well,
Mm.
to
Mm,
see their mum finding a way through. And so I think the three of us, of course, we are heartbroken, and we will be heartbroken for the rest of our lives. But I think somehow we have managed to hold on together and go through this together. And I think this informs all our professional lives. Ben, the way he deals with his training, he so funny because everyone that he's worked with say to me, I mean, I live in a village, so I know everyone, and Ben has been working with companies in the village. They say to me, "It's incredible. Ben doesn't even look at his mobile when he's working. He's 18, and all the 18 years old are like on their phones all the time, and Ben doesn't do that." And I think this is very much the work ethics he always saw in his dad. And
mm.
James has done internship where Nigel used to work. It's an incredible company who has been super supportive. And
That's nice.
and he was saying to me, "Mom, it has been quite emotional for me to kind of work on a code that my dad wrote."
Yeah.
And but this is all part of Nigel's presence in our lives.
Yeah. His
So
legacy.
yeah, his legacy. So I feel that we all have his presence very strong with us, and we will take this in life, really.
And even just what you've described as a snapshot feels like you're giving each other strength, and you've got the
Yeah,
support network around
yeah,
that. And you'll have those days where you don't want to get out of bed. It just
absolutely.
happens.
Yeah, yeah,
But if you have more good days than bad days, then
yeah,
you're heading in the right direction. And with planning an event like the bike ride and building up to that and knowing it was something that you wanted to achieve, once you get past that, you can almost drop off a cliff motivationally. You think,
yeah.
okay, so what's the next thing? What do I channel my energy into next? So when you think about the move that you've now made to Flock Health, you've got yourself into a position where you're motivated by work again. But has the experience rewired your thinking on your career and what you want to get out of life?
Indeed, I was working for a big company. I was working for Deloitte, which is incredible company to work for. But I think after this, I wanted to work with software as medical device. 100%. I didn't want to do like consultancy or anything like that because I want my work to benefit people however I can. And the Flock Health was exactly what I was looking for. I wanted a small team beginning with that I could bring my experience and expertise and life experience as well to really help to shape and build this incredible mission that Folk Health has. And I worked with Rick before, and I think to a certain extent. And these are guys who are just so serious, competent, and so inspirational. that it was exactly what I wanted to do, and I am delighted that I've been given this opportunity to build the quality and regulatory base. The Flock Health has done incredible getting QA certificates, and we are EU medical device, and we have all the nuts and bolts in place to build on, and that's what I'm doing now, and really taking over the ownership of quality and regulatory endeavors in the company, and definitely I wouldn't want to work just for money. I want to work for purpose and for mission, really.
Yeah.
And I think obviously the position that you're in today, the pain, the loss, that will never go away. But I'm gonna guess that how you feel right now compared to 12 months ago will be different day to day.
Yes.
And what advice or what key lesson would you give our listeners
Mm,
around someone facing something similar? Because you're through it
yeah.
part
The, f-
way.
the, f- the first thing I would say is if you are going through heartbreaking, through difficulty, talk to me. I will be more than happy to help if I can. If I can help anyone, please come and talk to me. No judgment, no nothing. And I will cook you a soup. I love cooking soup and help because I think I will never tire to help what I can. I think that's a mission in life for me. The second thing is search for support. Don't suffer alone because we cannot go through life alone. In anything we do, we need people. We need to support and to be supported. We need to be able to be open. And of course, it's not everyone who will be in your corner. You have to know who is in your corner and who is not. But look for people in your corner. Look for people who you can trust. Look for people who have got your best interests to heart, because these will be your people. Nobody can win alone. Nobody can do it alone. You have got your idiosyncrasies, which are about you, who you are, and these will help you. But it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to be happy. It really does. So I think these are the two things. If you need help and I can help, please talk to me.
Nice. You said you're quite a spiritual person.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you do like day to day now, physically,
Mm.
mentally, to manage your mental health?
Yeah. I I do a lot of prayer. I love praying. I love, like, I do have to have my morning prayer, and where I kind of pour myself out, my thoughts, my fears, my hopes. I like reading, like, spiritual books. I love the book of Psalms. I love it because I think, it's super inspirational. Um, I have, like, very close friends that I I have this relationship that we can talk about spiritual things, which is super helpful. And I think serving people is a massive part of your spirituality. My dad is my dad is an incredible man. My dad is 82. He's fit as a fiddle. He's never stops. Sometimes a bit too much for us. We just said, "Dad, just stop it." He still wants to kind of have $1 million idea. He never stops. But he always said something in Portuguese, which perhaps in English doesn't make much sense, but in Portuguese makes a lot of sense. The word serve in Portuguese has two meanings. It has the word serve, to serve someone, and also means to be fit for. So he always says to me, if you don't live to serve,
Mm,
serving someone, you don't serve to live. You're not fit for living.
okay.
And this has been like my mantra. If you can't serve, what is your life about? And I think this is very important for me to.
It's a good final lesson to leave people with.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it works. It does work.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, just a massive thank you from us for agreeing to come on and obviously share the early life stuff, all the turning points you've had, but obviously more recently with what's happened. It's good to see your positive outlook
Thank you.
and your proof that things do change with time. And like, I think you could say to anyone, in time, things will get better, but at the time, it's impossible to
Yeah,
even understand what that means. But
yeah.
you're proof that that's the case. And I'm confident you'll go on to do more meaningful stuff throughout your career,
Thank
your
you.
personal life, with your
Thank you.
kids. But yeah, just a massive thank you from both of us for joining
Thank you
today.
so much, guys. It was an honor for me to talk to you, and as always, it's a pleasure. And yeah, we just keep going.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you.
And for any of our listeners, if you have listened to this conversation and it's made you reflect on your own turning points and would like to come on as a guest, please reach out to us. Remember to like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you for our next episode of Beyond the
Lovely.
Device.
Bye, guys.
Thank
Thank you.
you.